Joining us now from the Hill is Representative Scott Garrett of New Jersey. Representative Garrett, what is your hope that the president will get the stimulus package he wants and in the time that he wants it done?
Well, it certainly is my hope that he will get both those, and the timing and the what goes into the package. The timing is critical. You know, we had Ben Bernanke before the Budget Committee, I guess it was a couple weeks ago, and that question was put to him. If we do any sort of stimulus package, when do we need to do it? And he said basically ASAP. It has to be done in the next 30 to 60 days, and that's a couple weeks to go down, so we only have a couple weeks to go if we want to do it in the first 30 days. And what goes into it, this is probably even more critical, and the president made the point. Nothing else should be added to the stimulus package when it comes to spending. And you know very well that the Senate is talking about larding it up with all sorts of other pork. The president said no to that, of course.
And so if the Senate's version does come to pass and the House version is supposed to be voted on today, what happens as far as between both bodies to get a program worked out?
First of all, I hope that doesn't happen. I hope that the senators who were sitting right in front of me last night, listening to the State of the Union address and listening to the president as well, really heard both from the president and also from the American public as well that the people want something done, they want it done now, and on all the issues that we deal with, the public has also been saying something else. I think it was like number 1, 2, or 3 in the polls. The public says they're tired of all the split down here in Congress. They're tired of the political rancor. They want both sides to work together. This is something that has occurred for Nancy Pelosi, John Boehner, and the President of the United States to be able to come into the room and discuss something as important as the economy, taxes, stimulus, and come to an agreement. I think that's pretty monumental. Now we just got to make sure that the guys down the hall in the Senate don't mess the whole thing up on us.
Specifically, when it comes to the Senate version of what they're proposing, do you have issues with it, and what are those issues?
Well, the issues are the basic one of spending. Again, as I said before, one of the top 3 issues that the American public said that they're concerned about in Washington is that we're able to get together on important issues and get them done. Another very top issue is the whole issue of spending. I think it was Frank Luntz who was on last night doing some focus grouping as far as the president's speech. And my understanding of a report on that was that when he was speaking and they were listening to the American public saying, are they agreeing with him or not agreeing with him, one of the things that the most Americans, the public, agreed with was when the president came out and said, let's eliminate something like 150 or 151 different programs. So the American public is sending the message, let's put a lid on spending, let's rein things in Washington. It's been out of control for too long, let's stop it. So the president hit a good mark on that issue. The president hit a good mark also when he talked about earmark reform, because that's another way of trying to rein in spending. So here we have the president and Congress, the House, listening to the American public, and then on the other hand you have the U.S. Senate, maybe from both sides of the aisle to some degree, saying let's lard it up with other pork. That's going in the wrong direction.
There's a story this morning saying that the executive order the president plans to sign on earmarks wouldn't kick in until fiscal year 2009. Is that correct?
The reform on the earmarks, yeah, a portion of it would, at least, as far as when the president says that any future earmarks should have a vote up or down. Well, we're in that cycle right now as far as the vote goes. But when those earmarks actually would go into effect would be the next time around as far as the next budget cycle.
Hampton, Virginia, you are the first call. Go ahead.
Yes, good morning. Every time I hear a comment about the tax cuts that are supposed to benefit businesses so that they can upgrade their equipment as well as hire more people and give the American people more money in their pockets, what I have seen is that the tax cut has caused big business to actually get more equipment overseas, hire more people overseas, and my net pay has actually gone down. So I don't understand how a tax cut can make a net pay actually go down from the year 2000. Both my husband and I, he works construction and I work in the IT department. And it's like all of our jobs are being filled by either people from India in the IT department or by foreigners that have come in illegally on the construction site. It just does not make sense. What are you planning on really doing with the tax cut that could benefit we, the people of the United States?
Well, the president addressed this, I guess, in a couple ways. One, he touched upon an issue that goes to the heart of your second portion of the question, and that is the illegal immigrants coming into this country and taking American jobs. The president said that what he wants to do is something that the Republicans in the House have been pushing for years now, and that is stricter border security. If we can keep the illegals out in the first place and not allow them to come in here and take those jobs from you and your family and other families across America, we'll be doing a great thing as far as protecting American jobs. As far as the tax credit aspect of that, well, for those small, mid-sized companies, whether you're in construction business or any sort of business, for them to be able to stay competitive, stay at the cutting edge, be able to hire employees, they need to have the equipment to get the job done. So the tax credit aspect is one way you can do that. You can do border security, keep the illegals out, so you and your family can keep the American jobs, and provide a tax credit on the other hand so that your employer will be able to buy the equipment to have it there, so they'll create the jobs that you have and other people in your neighborhood as well.
Gainesville, Georgia, good morning.
Hello.
You're on, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was talking about that stimulus package and all. I think if all the congressmen and all the politicians, if they had for 1 year to live off of $10,000, then they wouldn't cut out. That's for the low people or people on Social Security and all, to eliminate them from this tax deal and all. Because for what you got right now, what y'all passing, you ain't doing nothing for the people. You're doing it for the politicians up there, and that's it.
Representative Garrett.
Well, I have to say that most of the members of Congress are very concerned about what's going on back in their district, not only with people who are rich, but also about the middle class and the poor as well. You know, one of the things when I came into office back in 2002, we looked in the newspaper, and maybe the caller is relating to this, is just how many multimillionaires have come into the Congress, especially in the Senate. And so you do have the sense of, gee, how can these folks relate to you and me? I know when we did it, and my wife and I opened up the newspaper and looked at that and said, gee, there's so many millionaires in Congress. As a matter of fact, in my class, half of them or so were millionaires. And my wife said, you know, you were on the wrong half of that list, because I'm not a multimillionaire. I'm just an average middle-class American. Before I came into Congress, had a regular job. I worked in a factory before and at one point in time in my career, I went on to college, went on to law school, worked my way through those things, and got a job there as well. So I live in a middle-class America. My family does as well. My mother lives down in Florida. She lives on a limited income, as to other people in my family. So I think I can relate to what it's like to live in middle-class America. And so that's why it's so important to me to do what the president talked about last night. Continue the tax cuts that are out there right now that the Republican administration passed, extend those tax cuts, because if we don't do that, then that means middle-class America and lower-income individuals would see their taxes go up by about $1,500 or so. That's a big chunk of money for middle-class America. We got to keep those permanent, in place, and protect the working class of this country.